Technology number 1. Roman concrete. Modern concrete begins deteriorating the moment it's poured. Within decades, it cracks. Within a century, it crumbles. We accept this as inevitable. We design structures knowing they'll need constant maintenance and eventual replacement. But Roman concrete gets stronger over time. The Pantheon in Rome was built in 126 CE, nearly 2,000 years ago. Its massive concrete dome remains the largest unreinforced concrete dome in the world. No cracks, no structural issues, still standing, still stronger than the day it was built. Roman harbor structures submerged in seawater for 2 millennia have concrete that's stronger now than when it was poured. Not just preserved, actually improved by centuries underwater in corrosive salt water. Modern marine concrete lasts perhaps 50 years in seawater before serious deterioration. Roman marine concrete has lasted 2,000 years and strengthened. How? Modern scientists only recently discovered the secret. Romans used volcanic ash containing aluminum and silicon. When exposed to seawater, it triggers a chemical reaction producing aluminum-tobermorite crystals. These crystals continue forming for centuries, filling microscopic cracks, making the concrete progressively stronger. We knew volcanic ash was involved, but we didn't understand the precise ratios, the specific volcanic sources, the mixing techniques, the curing process. Despite our advanced chemistry and materials science, we only figured this out in the last decade. And here's what disturbs me. We still cannot perfectly replicate it. We understand the principle now, but Roman concrete used locally available materials with naturally occurring chemical compositions that vary by region. Modern attempts to recreate it produce inferior results. The Romans engineered structures 2,000 years ago that will outlast anything we build today. The Hoover Dam, one of the most massive concrete structures ever built, is expected to last perhaps 500 years before serious deterioration. Roman concrete structures have already lasted 2,000 years and are still strengthening. Ancient technology superior to modern engineering, not because Romans had computers or advanced equipment, but because they understood materials science at a level we've only recently begun to grasp. Technology number 2. Greek fire. 7th century CE. The Byzantine Empire faced annihilation. Arab fleets threatened Constantinople. Naval superiority meant survival or conquest. Then Byzantine chemists developed something that changed naval warfare forever. Greek fire. A liquid weapon that burned on water, that couldn't be extinguished, that stuck to surfaces and burned through hulls, that could be launched through primitive flamethrowers from ships, that struck terror into enemies who had never seen anything like it. Byzantine naval forces used Greek fire to destroy Arab fleets, saved Constantinople multiple times, maintained Byzantine naval dominance for centuries. The weapon was so effective, its formula became the most closely guarded state secret in history. Only the imperial family and a few chemists knew the composition. Production happened in sealed facilities. The formula was never written down completely, transmitted orally through carefully controlled chains of knowledge. Then the Byzantine Empire fell, and the secret died with it. We've been trying to recreate Greek fire for 700 years. We've failed. Modern chemistry should make this simple. We have every element available: advanced analytical techniques, computer modeling, materials science the Byzantines couldn't dream of. But we cannot make Greek fire. We know some components, probably petroleum-based, likely included quicklime, which reacts violently with water, possibly sulfur and naphtha, maybe pine resin, perhaps saltpeter. But the proportions, the processing methods, the delivery mechanism that made it cling to surfaces, the chemical reaction that made it burn on water without being extinguished, we don't know. Modern incendiary weapons burn hotter and more destructively than Greek fire probably did, but none have all its properties. None can burn on water, resist extinguishing, stick to surfaces, and be safely launched from wooden ships using 7th century technology. Byzantine chemists created something using primitive equipment that modern chemistry cannot replicate despite our enormous advantages. The knowledge existed. Then it was lost, and we still haven't recovered it. Ancient technology we cannot reproduce, not won't, cannot, despite 7 centuries of trying. Technology number 3. Damascus Steel. Medieval Damascus steel produced blades of legendary quality, swords that could slice through European broadswords, cut a falling silk scarf in half, hold an edge that never dulled, flex without breaking, return to shape after bending. The steel showed distinctive wavy patterns called watermarks. These weren't decorative. They were visible evidence of the steel's internal structure, carbon nanotubes and carbide nanowires embedded in the metal matrix. Yes, carbon nanotubes. In medieval steel, centuries before we invented them, Damascus steel blades were prized across the ancient world. Warriors paid fortunes for genuine Damascus weapons. The steel's reputation was deserved. Modern metallurgical analysis confirms these blades possessed properties we couldn't explain until recently. Then, around 1750, Damascus steel production stopped. The technique was lost. And despite our advanced metallurgy, we cannot recreate it. We know it used woot steel ingots from India. We know they were forged at specific temperatures. We know the process involved multiple folding and heating cycles. We understand the general technique. But we cannot make Damascus steel. Modern attempts produce superficial imitations. We can create similar patterns, but not the internal structure, not the carbon nanotubes forming naturally during the forging process, not the combination of flexibility, hardness, and edge retention. Recent research suggests the secret was in the ore. Specific Indian ore containing trace elements like vanadium that enabled carbon nanotube formation during forging. When those ore deposits depleted, Damascus steel became impossible to make because the raw material no longer existed. But here's what disturbs me. Medieval smiths worked with those ores without understanding chemistry, without microscopes, without metallurgical science. Yet they developed forging techniques that produced carbon nanotubes, something we only invented in 1991. They didn't know what carbon nanotubes were. They just knew the process worked. They created nanotechnology 800 years before we understood nanotechnology. Ancient craftsmen producing materials with properties we've only recently achieved using advanced technology. Except theirs was better, more reliable, more consistent, and we still can't match it. Technology number 4. Antikythera mechanism. We covered this in Day 5, but it deserves repetition here because it represents technology that shouldn't exist for 1,500 years. 87 BCE Greeks built an analog computer with at least 30 interlocking bronze gears. Differential gearing. Gear trains with precisely cut teeth. Calculating astronomical positions, eclipse predictions, moon phases, planetary movements, and Olympic Games dates. The technology didn't appear again until European clockmakers in the 14th century CE. 1,500 years later, this isn't a gap of decades or even centuries. It's a millennium and a half technological disappearance. Like finding a smartphone in a medieval castle, the sophistication gap is that extreme. Modern recreation required X-ray CT scanning to understand how it worked. Took decades of analysis. When we finally built working replicas, we needed modern machine tools to achieve the precision the Greeks accomplished with hand tools. The Antikythera mechanism represents a level of mechanical engineering that shouldn't exist in the ancient world. Not just advanced for its time. Advanced beyond anything else in the ancient world by several technological ages. It suggests Greek mechanical engineering reached heights we don't see evidence of elsewhere. As if this mechanism dropped from a more advanced technological era into the 1st century BCE. If Greeks could build this, what else could they build? Where are the other examples? Why does this level of sophistication appear once, then disappear for over 1,000 years? Ancient technology so advanced, we needed 21st century analytical tools to understand it. And when we finally figured it out, we realized the Greeks had capabilities we didn't credit them with. The device existed. It's real. It worked. Ancient people built it. Modern people couldn't fully explain it until 2,000 years later. Technology number 5. Ancient Indian surgery. Sushruta Samhita. a Sanskrit medical text from approximately 6th century BCE. It describes surgical procedures that wouldn't be rediscovered in Europe for over 2,000 years. Cataract surgery, rhinoplasty, cranial surgery, cesarean sections, plastic surgery techniques, all described in detail with specific instruments, procedures, and post-operative care. Sushruta described over 300 surgical procedures, used 125 surgical instruments, documented anesthesia using alcohol and herbal compounds, explained infection prevention through cleanliness, 1,500 years before germ theory. The text describes forehead flap rhinoplasty for nose reconstruction, the exact technique used today. Cut a flap of skin from the forehead, rotate it down to rebuild the nose, suture carefully, provide aftercare until healing completes. Modern plastic surgeons rediscovered this in the 18th century and called it revolutionary. Indians had been performing it for 2,000 years. Sushruta described cataract surgery using a curved needle to push the clouded lens out of the visual axis, essentially the same technique used until recently. He explained how to diagnose cataracts, prepare the patient, perform the procedure, and prevent infection. He documented cranial surgery, opening the skull to treat head injuries, specific techniques for different types of wounds, how to avoid damaging the brain, how to close and heal properly. This is sophisticated surgery, requiring deep anatomical knowledge, precise instruments, steady hands, understanding of infection risks, post-operative care protocols. Ancient Indian surgeons performed procedures that European medicine wouldn't attempt for millennia. Not because Europeans were less intelligent, but because the knowledge was lost, then painstakingly rediscovered. Modern medical schools teach techniques that ancient Indians had mastered 2,000 years ago. We act like we invented these procedures. We didn't. We rediscovered them after they were forgotten. Ancient medical technology so advanced that modern surgeons use essentially the same techniques today. Technology number 6. Inca earthquake-proof construction. Cusco, Peru, sits in one of the most seismically active regions on Earth. Regular, powerful earthquakes. Spanish colonial buildings regularly collapse. Modern buildings require expensive earthquake engineering. But Inca walls still stand. After 500-plus years. Through countless earthquakes that destroyed everything around them, the Inca used a technique called ashlar masonry. Stone blocks cut so precisely, they fit together without mortar. Each stone is shaped uniquely to fit perfectly with its neighbors. Tolerances of less than a millimeter between blocks, weighing tons. When earthquakes strike, the walls move. The stones shift slightly against each other, absorb and dissipate the energy, then settle back into place. The lack of mortar allows this flexibility. The precise fitting prevents collapse. Spanish conquistadors tried to replicate this, failed completely. Modern engineers study it to understand earthquake-resistant construction. We build with modern materials and computer modeling. Inca walls built with stone tools and no written language still outperform modern construction. The Spanish cathedral in Cusco was built on top of Inca foundations. Every earthquake damages the Spanish structure. The Inca foundation remains undamaged. Modern earthquake engineering uses flexible buildings that sway with seismic waves, expensive shock absorbers, computer-calculated stress distribution, advanced materials designed for the purpose. Inca engineers achieved the same result with shaped stones. No mortar, no advanced tools, no computer modeling, just profound understanding of physics, materials, and construction. Their walls have survived 5 centuries of earthquakes. Modern buildings in the same location last decades before requiring major repair or replacement. Ancient construction technology superior to modern engineering, not in theory, in demonstrated performance over centuries. Technology number 7. Egyptian pyramid precision. The Great Pyramid of Giza wasn't just big, it was geometrically precise to a degree we struggle to match today. The base forms a near-perfect square. 4 sides differ by less than 2 inches across 750 feet. That's precision of 0.03%. Without laser levels, without GPS, without theodolites. The sides align almost exactly to true north, south, east, west, off by only 3/60ths of 1 degree. More accurate than the Greenwich Observatory when it was built 4,000 years later. The internal passages align to astronomical positions with precision requiring careful surveying. The descending passage points to the position of the North Star at the time of construction. But here's what modern engineers find most impressive. The pyramid was built from approximately 2.3 million stone blocks, each weighing 2.5 to 15 tons, cut from quarries, transported to the site, lifted into position, fitted precisely. Modern analysis shows the blocks fit so tightly that a knife blade cannot fit between them. No mortar, just precisely cut and positioned stone, in a structure containing over 6 million tons of material. We can build large structures today. We have cranes, computer modeling, laser guidance, advanced surveying equipment. But we cannot build a structure this size with this precision using the tools available to the Egyptians. Modern attempts to move stones using ancient techniques require massive labor forces and succeed only with great difficulty. Yet the Egyptians moved millions of blocks, lifted them hundreds of feet, positioned them with millimeter precision. The precision suggests advanced surveying techniques we don't see evidence of. The scale suggests organizational and engineering capabilities far beyond what we associate with Bronze Age civilizations. Recent theories propose ramps, internal spiral tunnels, counterweights, and other clever techniques. All possible, none proven, and none explaining the geometric precision. Ancient engineering achieving accuracy that modern technology with far greater capabilities would struggle to match. Not in one aspect, in multiple dimensions simultaneously: precision, scale, alignment, and durability. Technology number 8, Baghdad Battery. We covered this in day 5, but it represents technology that shouldn't exist 2,000 years before electrical theory. Clay jar, copper cylinder, iron rod, acidic solution. Creates electrical current of 1 to 2 volts. Multiple jars in series produce higher voltage. Modern replicas work perfectly. Fill with vinegar or lemon juice. Measure electrical output. Functional galvanic cell from 2,000 years ago. If ancient people had batteries, what were they using them for? Electroplating? Gilding? Medical treatment? Pain relief? Religious experiences induced by electrical stimulation? We don't know. But the devices exist. They function. And they predate our understanding of electricity by nearly 2 millennia. Benjamin Franklin's electrical experiments were in 1752. Luigi Galvani discovered bioelectricity in 1780. Alessandro Volta invented the first true battery in 1800. Yet functional electrical cells existed 2,000 years earlier. Critics argue the jars stored scrolls, or had religious purposes, but the acid corrosion on the iron rod indicates chemical reactions. The construction matches electrochemical principles. Multiple similar artifacts exist. Ancient people experimenting with electricity, perhaps not understanding the theory, but developing practical applications through trial and error, like Damascus Steel containing carbon nanotubes. The craftsmen didn't understand nanotechnology, they just knew the process worked. Ancient people achieved technological results that we assume require modern scientific understanding. They didn't have the theory, but they had the practice. And that was sufficient. Technology number 9, Mayan astronomical calendars. The Maya developed astronomical calendars of stunning accuracy using naked eye observation. Their solar year calculation, 365.2420 days. Modern measurement, 365.2422 days. The Maya were accurate to within 17 seconds per year. They calculated Venus's synodic period as 583.92 days. Modern measurement, 583.92 days, exact to 2 decimal places. They predicted lunar eclipses centuries in advance, solar eclipses, planetary conjunctions, all without telescopes, without precise clocks, without computers. The Dresden Codex contains eclipse tables predicting lunar eclipses over a 300-year period. When modern astronomers checked these predictions using computer simulations, the Maya were correct. They achieved this through meticulous observation over centuries, recording celestial positions, identifying patterns, developing mathematical models, all using the naked eye and careful record-keeping. Modern astronomy required telescopes to achieve similar accuracy. The Maya did it by watching the sky and thinking carefully about what they saw. Their calendar was so precise that when the Spanish arrived, it was more accurate than the Julian calendar Europeans were using. It took Europe until 1582 and the Gregorian calendar reform to match Mayan accuracy achieved centuries earlier. Ancient people with no advanced instruments developing astronomical calculations that remained unsurpassed for over 1,000 years. Technology number 10. Lycurgus cup nanotechnology. 4th century CE. Romans created a glass cup that changes color depending on lighting. Green when lit from front, red when lit from behind. The Lycurgus cup, a carved glass vessel depicting King Lycurgus, looked impressive but unremarkable until modern analysis. When scientists examined it with electron microscopes in 1990, they discovered something impossible. The glass contains gold and silver nanoparticles, precisely 50 to 100 nanometers in diameter, the exact size needed to create the color-changing effect through plasmonic resonance. Nanotechnology. In a 4th century Roman cup, the nanoparticles are distributed evenly throughout the glass. Their size is precisely controlled. Too small and the effect doesn't work. Too large and the effect doesn't work. The particles are exactly the right size. This requires controlling material processes at the atomic level, something we only learned to do in the late 20th century. Modern scientists can now create similar effects, but we need advanced equipment, precise temperature control, clean rooms, electron microscopes to verify particle size. Romans did it 1,700 years ago, without microscopes, without understanding nanotechnology, without knowing that nanoparticles existed. Like Damascus Steel smiths creating carbon nanotubes without knowing what carbon nanotubes were. Ancient craftsmen developing material science technologies through trial and error that we've only recently achieved through advanced scientific understanding. They knew the process worked. They didn't need to understand why, and the results speak for themselves.